Welcome to Apex Philosophy, the perfect place to find motivation. Be sure to subscribe and listen every day so you can become your best self. Please like and share the video to help inspire others. Lao Tzu quotes that will blow your mind. The founder of Taoism. Lao Tzu was known to be an axial philosopher. He learned about every aspect of life. He flourished in education and philosophy in China. He was also the founder of Taoism, or the author of the Tao Te Ching, in 500 B.C.E. The main belief of Taoism is that humans and animals should live a life of balance with the universe, otherwise known as the Tao. Taoists highly believe in spiritual immortality, such that the spirit of the body joins the universe after death. This belief in balance can be observed in the quotes or proverbs made by Lao Tzu, and we'll share them with you today. So grab your pens and paper and be ready to be inspired. We have divided the quotes into a series of themes such as virtues, leadership, and spirituality. More often than not, these proverbs are interconnected with one another. As reflected in the main beliefs of Taoism, we must find a perfect balance to dissect them into categories. First, let's discuss the virtues shared by Lao Tzu. On virtues, we start this reflection by understanding this first quote. To realize that you do not understand is a virtue. Not to realize that you do not understand is a defect. This quote actually pertains to how we must be humble enough to realize that we do not understand everything. We do not understand every virtue. Do you understand how truthfulness is attained? If that truth would hurt a friend or the whole nation, will you still tell it? And should you choose to not tell it, does that mean that you are not truthful? The main idea being taught to us by Lao Tzu is to realize that we do not know everything, but only when we begin to explore these virtues could we proceed to the truth, to leadership, and finally to attain balance in spirituality. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Succeeding is the coming together of all that is beautiful. Furtherance is the agreement of all that is just. Perseverance is the foundation of all actions. And so, Lao Tzu emphasizes these three virtues: simplicity, patience, and compassion. According to him, these three are your greatest treasures of life. So, what makes life simple? What is patience, and how do we learn it? What makes us compassionate? Let's tackle each one. For Lao Tzu, to manifest plainness and simplicity, we must reduce selfishness and our personal desires. What does this mean? Desires often lead to attachments, and attachments can imbalance your spirit. For example, when you are too attached to achieving a certain goal, you would do anything to achieve it. You might even cheat your way out of it. You might step on other people just to reach it. You could also sacrifice your health or relationships with loved ones to achieve your goals. Desires could also cloud your mind and judgment. It can push you away from sanity. You could become irrational and stubborn. For example, if you desire a person to become your lover, you might lavish them with all the grandeurs of life, expensive dates and diamond jewelry, and start to make personal sacrifices to attempt to manipulate them into loving you back. Oftentimes this just leads to misery. You lose yourself and they don't love you. They fall for the mask you are putting on. Many souls fall trapped to this, and that leads us to how Lao Tzu defined love. Love is of all passions the strongest, for it attacks simultaneously the head, the heart, and the senses. Love is something so powerful. We often easily succumb to its siren's call. To love is harmless. To love is welcoming new energy. Lao Tzu was, in fact, a married man. Maybe this is also why he included love in his series of virtuous proverbs. He tells us that loving deeply is a source of strength. But he also uses the word attack, which has a negative connotation, mostly about the virtue's capability to be a double-edged sword. You see, not every love is healthy. Not every love is meant to be. Some people push themselves toward others. Some are using love as a facade to attain the desire of others. But these are the type of people that give love a bad name. If someone truly loves you, they will take care of you. We can see this truth with friends and family. The greatest example is the love of a parent for a child. A mother would sacrifice herself amidst a crisis just to protect a treasure in the form of a child. It gives them the strength and courage to act on it. This is what great love feels like. Similarly, some great acts of love don't have to be those that involve life-threatening circumstances. It can be as simple as being bold enough to admit that you were wrong. It can also be approaching a friend after a fight. Love is part of caring for someone or something. It stems from the same root that offers courage so that humans can go out and live life. When you love art, for example, you become passionate about color, paintings, and even as simple as a leaf fallen from a tree. An artist may be inspired by the change of the seasons. But aside from love and caring for other people, we also have the opportunity to be kind in every way. And this is also related to the universality of love. When you are kind to yourself, you are also loving yourself. It doesn't always have to be about the other person. And there is a clear distinction between self-love and selfishness. Selfishness is when you do anything to achieve your goals. Self-love is when you realize that you deserve the love and kindness that you give to others. This kindness will manifest in your confidence. It can create a certain profoundness wherein you understand what love feels like and you do not forget to show it in words. Remember the teachings of Lao Tzu about balance. You cannot spread balance if you are not balanced yourself. Lao Tzu warns us by saying, "When virtue is lost, benevolence appears. When benevolence is lost, right conduct appears. When right conduct is lost, expedience appears." Expediency is the mere shadow of right and truth. It is the beginning of disorder. This is why we must hold on to the virtues that we've learned. They are taught for a reason. We don't have to be perfect beings. Rather, we must always remember and look back on the known virtues. Would you rather live in a world of love or a world of violence? Lao Tzu always believed that violence would always rebound on itself. It's actually similar to the teachings of karma. Although both stem from a different spectrum of beliefs, they find a common ground. During the time of Lao Tzu, there were wars within the dynasty. Military strategies and tactics were held supreme, and that is why he did his best to teach military and civilian leaders at the time. But this proverb doesn't only apply to them. When you choose to end someone's life, that person has other people within their network that is somehow close to them. It can be their friend, their brother, or their parent. Either way, when you enter this field of violence, you are setting ablaze a path that leads toward vengeance. If violence is scaled up into wars, it just creates a bloody path from one battle to another. It reduces hundreds or thousands of lives in military training, and only for it to end shortly. But again, war never stops once it is started. It will not stop until someone chooses to make a pact or a truce, and to place a transition between the virtues of an individual and the choices of a leader. Lao Tzu tells us that the softest things in the world overcome the hardest things in the world. For example, if the leaders of the dynasty reduced their pride and thirst for more land and turned to caring for their people, life would flourish. All they needed to do was to care for someone other than themselves. Lao Tzu compares this by giving us an analogy of water. Water is something soft, something flexible. Yet, nothing can resist it. You can't contain water in your hands. Even the bowl filled with water would eventually evaporate. As winter turns into spring, snow thaws and water comes back into its natural form. There is nothing more flexible than water. And to practice the virtues of life, you can become like the water. You need not be afraid of the changes. You are here in the present, and you must live in the present. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. On leadership. Now that we have dealt with the proper virtues, we can incorporate them into being a better leader. What is a leader? A leader is someone that inspires or helps people achieve certain goals. As such, a leader is not selfish. If he is, then he is not a leader. Wars and military strategies were important to ancient Chinese philosophers. It was also their little way of criticizing or rebelling against the behaviors of their leaders. Dynasties are often ruled by emperors, and you can't just dictate on royal families. However, most of the ancient leaders would try to learn from these great philosophers. Philosophers were highly respected in the Old Kingdom, and they could mold their emperors from a young age. Lao Tzu would often compare a great nation with cooking a small fish. Even the ordinary man would know that in cooking something small, you must also adjust the fire under the pot. You can't have the fire too big, or it will overcook. Additionally, the right proportions of seasoning must be added. Otherwise, it would be too salty or too bland. In governing a nation, there must be a great understanding of the people. Through this understanding, one can plan adequately. As such, Lao Tzu says, people and their handlings of affairs often fail when they are about to succeed. If one remains as careful at the end as he was at the beginning, there will be no failure. This is especially true for the case of China. When you have a large territory, it is often difficult to manage alone. You must know how to delegate tasks through your magistrates and find a way to discipline the people without instigating a rebellion. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. While leaders guide the people, it is normal that conflicts may arise. Some problems are from the people. For example, during wars, most of the efforts are geared toward the artillery and the soldiers. Women and children left at home are often reduced to hunger. However, sometimes it's not even the wars that cause these problems. The people are hungry. It is because those in authority eat up too much in taxes. Lao Tzu warns us about the corrupt politicians in positions of great power. This is also true even in the contemporary period. Humanity hasn't changed even after decades since the death of Lao Tzu. Again, it's all because of the dangerous desires of power. Through attachments and temptations, these corrupt leaders cannot find balance among themselves. Lao Tzu also added that the more laws and order are made prominent, the more thieves and robbers there will be. Through the power and influence of these leaders, corruption has slowly seeped into the legislation. In every law that is made, there may be some hidden agenda. Some laws protect the assets of these corrupt officials, while others limit legislations that are for the poor. Again, these robbers do not pertain to the thieves that are in the lower levels of society. Rather, these are the secret thieves amongst the highest positions, ready to strike whenever there is an opportunity to claim power. So now that we know about greed, power, and corruption, what does it mean to be a good leader? According to Lao Tzu, the best leaders are people who know how to strategically go through their subjects without being detected. His influence must spread far and wide, but in silence. For example, to control his magistrates, an emperor can make it seem like it is the magistrate's idea to implement such a law. Another example could be providing incentives and recognition for officials to act honorably. The leader does not get recognition because he knows that the order that is felt through society is enough. On spirituality. Now that we have discussed what it takes to be a leader, let's move on to how we can combine virtues and leadership. A leader is nothing without his virtues, and to find such virtues, he must be in tune with his spirituality. The ancient people from China believed that the emperor is actually chosen by the heavens, and so his divinity should reign supreme, guided by his spiritual self. But do not hesitate to also note these proverbs, for it is not limited only to leaders. Remember that you are also a leader in your own way. You have your own virtues and you must lead your own life. There was something undifferentiated and yet complete that existed before heaven and earth. Soundless and formless, it depends on nothing and does not change. It operates everywhere and is free from danger. It may be considered the mother of the universe. I do not know its name. I call it Tao. Lao Tzu always advocated that we must be one with the Tao. This is the entity from which we came to be. Interestingly, he says, all things in the world come from being, and being comes from non-being. This means that whatever abstract self we have, including our own virtues, is actually being manifested into the physical form. For example, have you ever heard the phrase that stress kills? More often than not, people forget to take care of their health. Some are attached to the desire of gaining more money, only to end up being at the hospital and spending their life savings. In a way, Lao Tzu warns us about the dangers of being stuck in a routine life. From wonder into wonder existence opens. We must not be stuck in mundane things. Rather, we must transcend and see our life in the present. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. If you are content with your life, you do not attach yourself to any desires. Take note that these desires are made of the past, something we hold on to for whatever reasons. They do not take us into the future. Again, he who is contented is rich. And for those that worry about the future, Lao Tzu says, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. You must know and understand that there are better things waiting for you. However, you must patiently wait for them. The seed does not grow overnight. It takes time to be nurtured and loves to encourage growth. The same goes for your personal growth. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness. There will always be obstacles along the way, but you must face it with confidence that you will overcome it. Go back to your virtues and continue to keep pushing through. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. So be like the water. Be something that is flexible and transforming, ever-changing but still the same. Be like a water, for nothing can resist its softness. Most importantly, be the water that cleanses and brings life to the earth. Thank you for listening. Comment below. What things in your life are you resisting that you should accept? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.